Judges chapter 2. The Lord's messenger condemns. The Lord's messenger came from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I brought you up from Egypt and led you into the land that I had promised your ancestors. I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and you are not to make a covenant with those who lived in this land. You should break down their altars, but you didn't obey me. What have you done? So now I will tell you, I won't drive them out before you, but they'll be a problem for you, and their gods will be a trap for you. When the Lord's messenger spoke these words to the Israelites, they raised their voices and cried out. So they named the place Bochim, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord there. When Joshua dismissed the people, the Israelites each went to settle on their own family's property in order to take possession of the land. The people served the Lord throughout the rest of Joshua's life and throughout the next generation of elders who outlived him. Those who had seen all the great things that the Lord had done for Israel. Joshua, Nun's son, and the Lord's servant died when he was 110 years old. They buried him within the boundaries of his family's property in Timnath-heres in the highlands of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. When the whole generation had passed away, another generation came after them, who didn't know the Lord or the things that he had done for Israel. Israel's pattern of sin and punishment. Then the Israelites did the things the Lord saw as evil. They served the Baals, and they went away from the Lord, their ancestors' God, who had brought them out of the land of Egypt. They went after other gods from among the surrounding peoples. They worshiped them, and that angered the Lord. They went away from the Lord and served Baal in the Astartes. So the Lord became angry with Israel, and he handed them over to the raiders who plundered them. He let them be defeated by their enemies around them, so that they were no longer able to stand up to them. However, whenever the Israelites marched out, the Lord's power worked against them, just as the Lord had warned them, and they were very, very distressed. Then the Lord raised up leaders to rescue them from the power of these raiders, but they wouldn't even obey their own leaders because they were unfaithful, following other gods and worshiping them. They quickly deviated from the way of their ancestors who had obeyed God's commandments and didn't follow their example. Verse 18, the Lord was moved by Israel's groaning under those who oppressed and crushed them. So the Lord would raise up leaders for them, and the Lord would be with the leaders, and he would rescue Israel from the power of their enemies as long as that leader lived. But then when the leader died, they would once again act in ways that weren't as good as the ancestors, going after another gods to serve them and worship them. They wouldn't drop their bad practices or hardships, hard-headed ways. So the Lord became angry with Israel and said, because this nation has violated my covenant, and I required of their ancestors, and hasn't obeyed me, I in turn no longer drive out before them any of the nations that Joshua left when he died, as a test for Israel to see whether they would carefully walk in the Lord's ways, just as their ancestors had done. The Lord left these nations instead of driving them out immediately or handing them over to Joshua. Thank you for listening, and God bless.